As societies develop and change, so do their political institutions. What developments do we see in various democracies around the world? Here in the Netherlands, there were recently elections held, so of course my husband and I fulfilled our civic duty and went to vote. These elections resulted in a big win for a relatively new party, Forum for Democracy. As the name implies, much of this party's platform aims at making changes to Dutch democracy, specifically by institutionalizing more direct democracy. So what is direct democracy? In a direct democracy, citizens vote on proposals for laws and policies, so they have the power to directly impact the issues and decision-making. This is different from what usually happens in most modern indirect democracies, where the citizens elect officials who pledge to represent their interest. These officials then vote on the laws and determine policy, so the citizens' impact on the issues is indirect. Generally, when we think of direct democracies, we think of ancient societies like Greece and Rome. But there are also modern democracies, like Switzerland, that are famous for giving citizens much direct power. Tools of direct democracy include referenda and citizens' initiatives. A referendum is simply when citizens vote about proposed policy, instead of the representatives making the decisions. The public will most often be asked to vote directly on major issues. Recent decades have seen many referenda to get public opinion on the European Union. Several member states voted against the 2005 EU Constitution. A referendum was held in Croatia that voted in favor of joining the EU in 2013, and there was the much debated Brexit referendum. Initiatives are used when citizens have an idea they want to propose. They can petition the public to get support to hold a vote on a given issue. This way, they are not dependent on elected officials to set the political agenda. As with anything political, direct democracy is subject to debate. Those in favor of direct democracy say it is the purest form of democracy by giving the public the power to vote on the issues themselves. They worry that indirect democracy results in less political legitimacy. Those against direct democracy say that it is a threat to representative democracy and worry about trusting complex decisions to the general public. What do you think about direct democracy? Perhaps we should put it to a vote? How much power would the citizens have in your ideal democracy? Your answer to this question depends on what you value. Political institutions are shaped by values. The key values that democracies revolve around are freedom and equality. These values become institutionalized in civil rights and civil liberties. Together, these make up rule of law. Governments are granted the power and responsibility to take care of its citizens, but at the same time, limitations are placed on that government power. This balance is often referred to as the social contract. Different countries reflect different values, and therefore will have different interpretations of how to apply rule of law. Some common civil rights found in most democracies include equal treatment for all citizens, while making discrimination illegal, and providing various forms of social care and/or education. Common civil liberties include the right to vote, freedom of religion and speech, and the right to privacy. But what happens when these basic values and rights conflict with one another? For example, does freedom of speech include discriminatory speech? And when does government-provided care result in insufficient freedom of choice? Such endless discussions are usually largely shaped by the values of a place and time. Where and when you live will determine how these questions are answered. But what if you got to decide? In your ideal society with rule of law, how much power should the government have, and what should the government be allowed to use their power for? As societies continue to change, so will the answers to these questions, resulting in continual changes in our ever-developing democracies.
Like this video. Subscribe for more lessons by Miss Mom.